So, Oklahoma's made national news, and it's not in a good way. A 16-year-old student of Owasso High School was beat by 3 other students in a bathroom, and then the next day ends up dead. Well, we have a Senator Tom Woods from Tahlequah, Oklahoma, who came out to say that, his heart goes out to the families of these students, mostly probably the 3 girls that did the attack, because they're looking at possible jail time and disruption of their lives. But he went on to say that when it comes to lesbians, gays, and transgenders, that Oklahoma doesn't want them here. Their rights and freedoms don't matter, and that these are absolutely his conservative values. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. Those wonderful conservative values. You hear them out there all the time talking about how wonderful these conservative values are. And I did a show just a couple of episodes ago on those wonderful conservative values of violence. This is no different. So we have a Senator Tom Woods, state senator, come out and say during a press conference that, hey, you know what? We're a religious state. We're going to fight to keep that filth out of Oklahoma because we're a Christian state. This guy is absolutely talking about being a Christian nationalist. Look, we're Christians here. We're going to be ruled by Christians. And if you're not Christian and you don't hold up to these Christian beliefs, well, in the Bible it says we're going to stone you and you deserve to die. And he believes this. We don't want that filth here in Oklahoma. He's talking about American citizens, Oklahoma citizens. Whether you had multi-generational ties or not, you don't belong here. We don't want you here. And freedoms be damned. We don't want you here. We want you out, whether that's you move out or, in this case, die. This is exactly where Senator Tom Woods' conservative values lie. You either get out or he's good with the violence that's perpetrated against you. This is exactly what he's saying. And it's in a Christian nationalist way, because he comes out and says, hey, you know what? We are a Christian state. So you need to live by our Christian principles and our Christian values, no matter if you are or not. You see, no matter if your parents are Christians or Buddhist or Hindu or Muslim or Jewish or atheist, you get to live by our Christian dogma. You get to be subjected to laws that are put in place based on his Christian religion. Whether you like it or not, he's going to force you to live by them. See, because these people really believe that God's going to punish us if we don't live by their Christian views. And when I say God, I mean his Christian God is going to come punish us. No other gods. He doesn't believe in, say, Shiva of the Hindu religion, or any Buddhist principles or anything else, or that Muhammad flew through space and on a winged horse. No one believes that either. But there you go. This is Senator Tom Woods coming out and saying the ugliness out loud. Hey, look, you know what? We're a Republican state. I'm going to vote my district, and I'm going to vote my values, and we don't want that in Oklahoma. So I don't know what he means by we don't want that in Oklahoma, and he's going to make sure that these people that voted for him get that. Is he going to put laws in place? Is he going to propose bills that ban LGBTQ people from moving to Oklahoma or being here? I mean, here we have a real big disconnect, because we have a Republican governor who's also a Christian nationalist trying to boost our business acumen, trying to get more businesses here, more people with knowledge and expertise in areas, but yet you're going to exclude a whole sect of people, and you're going to do it in an ugly way. I don't think this really is conducive to wanting people to come to Oklahoma. I really don't. But you see, you have people like Senator Tom Woods who are scared. See, they're scared because they look at the numbers. They see that, hey, you know what? 1/3 of the nation right now have pretty much left religion. They have. And they even talk about this. They talk about how, hey, you know what? We've seen a decline in church membership. We see a decline in people praying and accepting the Christian religion, the Christian dogma. So this scares them to no end. They would love to put laws in place that forced people to, at the least, have their taxes go to paying tithes to keep churches in business. I'm sure that's coming. They're doing that right now, kind of in a way. We've already seen it with this virtual charter school, where we're sending taxpayer money to the Catholic religion here in Oklahoma so they can have a school. It's just another step forward to go, hey, now we're going to make sure that 10% of your taxes go to paying tithes to the Christian church. See, that way we can keep our angry and vengeful God from killing all of us. What a wonderful God they got. Wow. So petty, so cruel, so violent that he would want to kill you if you don't worship him or something like that. But yet, never comes down to see anybody or wants to verify these. You just got to trust this. It's kind of a con. I'm going to say it is. But this is where we're at. This is where we're at in Oklahoma with people like Senator Tom Woods, who gives his heartfelt, hey, look, I'm so sorry that this happened. This is a bad thing. My heart goes out to these families. But really, which families? I'm thinking it's going to be to the 3 girls that beat up the transgender student, because they probably are seeing some legal repercussions going to come from this. I'm almost positive they will. So that makes Senator Tom Woods sad. Not so much that the transgender student died, because, see, like he said, we don't want them here in Oklahoma. That's so anti-freedom. That's so anti-American. Here we are. These are American citizens we're talking about. But yet, we don't want them here in Oklahoma. Well, I'm sorry, they scare him to death. He doesn't even know these people. But yet, he's willing to see them die and being okay with that, because these are absolutely his conservative values. And that's what we're talking about here. Conservative values. These are their values. As I've talked in other episodes, they love violence. They love the violence. They love to attack people. They love to give death threats to people that don't agree with them. We see this with Lives of TikTok. We've already talked about this. We've seen it with the sycophants that follow Ryan Walters. They go after people too, and they also give them death threats. They've given me death threats. I've seen it on social media and everything else, and even through this show, through YouTube. I get them. They do. They come at me in personal in messages telling me how they know where I live and how they're going to come for me. They do. They do it. And yet I'm still here every week. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. And that's really why I end this show with, we'll see you next week. Because you know what? There's not a dang thing they're going to do. They're not. They're just behind their keyboard, laptop losers. And that's as far as they're going to take it. They're just trying to be intimidating, trying to quash First Amendment rights. And that's what this is all about. Conservatives hate that First Amendment all the way around. When it comes to association, when it comes to media and print material, trying to ban books, when it comes to expression, you see it everywhere. They really want to quash that First Amendment to things that they don't like. If they like it, hey man, you can't violate my First Amendment. But if we don't, well, we get to violate your First Amendment all day long. That's what this is about. And so here we go. This Christian nationalism seeps in to where they want to force you into their Christian religion. And it's really not just any Christian religion. It's their brand of it. Their brand of Baptist, evangelical Christian. Because I tell you what, you go, oh, well, I'm Christian, I'm Unitarian. They're not going to go for that. They really even don't like the Catholics that much. They go after them too. You see it, I see it all the time on social media where they're going after them. They go after Unitarians. So it's their select brand of Christianity too. It's so narrow. It's so just dense that's where it is. And this is how they want to legislate here in Oklahoma. And they talk about how we don't want those people here. Wow, what's that going to do for this state's economy and everything else? If I was in another state and I wanted people to move there, I would be like, hey, let's do a campaign in Oklahoma, put up some billboards, say, hey, they don't want you there, so come here instead. I'm sure people like our Governor Kevin Stitt, who's been trying hard to get people to come here, trying hard to get educated, skilled people to come to Oklahoma because we need that workforce. I don't think he would go for that, even though he too is a Christian nationalism. He's all about it. He's all about that. And this goes on again because during this press conference where Senator Woods came out and said, hey, you know what? We don't want that filth here in Oklahoma. We had David Harden come out and say, hey, you know what? How you live your life personally, that's between you and God. Yeah. Yeah. And when he says God, he means the Christian God. He's not talking about the Hindu God. He's not talking about the Buddhist, which Buddhist doesn't have a God. He's not talking about pagan gods. He's not talking about the Greek gods. He's not talking about Egyptian gods. He's only talking about the Christian God. He talks about this. He goes, I have no judgment, which is baloney. But what goes through our public schools, I will fall back on my faith, his faith, you see. And he wants to make sure that at least children in our public schools have his faith, you see. And then he goes, I want to make sure that our young children have that right. And you know what? If they decide later they don't want to have it, well, that's fine, which is baloney, because obviously it isn't fine with him if you become an adult and lose your religion, of the Christian religion. Because he's already come out and said, man, our membership in our churches are so low, we really should pass laws to change all that. You see, we need people to be moral here. And when he's talking about moral, he's talking about his Christian morals. He's talking about that. And when it comes down to it, it's just so odd, because when it comes to conservative values, because that's really what we're talking about. When it comes to conservative values, they're full of vitriol. They're full of violence. They're full of death. It's really just a big death cult. Their values are so horrible that you got, a couple of years ago, Senator Nathan Dahm, who is the chair of the GDP. They made him the chair of the Oklahoma GDP after he said this stuff about Kamala Harris, about, hey, I wonder if she's, she got the, what position was she in before she got these nice high-powered jobs? Was it bent over or heels up? These are their values. That's the values I'm talking about. Values that say the LGBTQ community is filth. We don't want them here. Those are his conservative values. They're very anti-freedom. They're very vitriolic. They're very violent-oriented. These are conservative values. And they really can't run away from them. And that's what we have here in Oklahoma right now, with going on our LGBTQ community. They've been attacking them so horribly bad, especially in this state. And you know what? The thing is about the LGBTQ community is the lesbians and the gays, they tend to vote, and they tend to give money to candidates, and they tend to support causes. But the trans people really don't. When it comes to transgender and non-binary people, they really don't get involved. And we've seen this time and again, so it makes them easy targets to go after. They're not involved. They don't vote. So it makes them weak. And that's why the conservatives are going after them specifically. But now we got Tom Woods coming after the whole of the LGBTQ community. And I'd like to see how much further this goes. I don't know that I really want to see that, because I think we're getting steps here. We have a leader in our Senate. This is a guy who's leading a Senate district saying, hey, you know what? We don't want that filth here. So he's good with what happened with a 16-year-old dying the day after they get beat in a bathroom. He's good with that. He absolutely says that. And then you got people like David Harden saying, hey, you know what? Children need to be raised with Christian principles, whether your parents are Christian or not. You need to be raised that way in our public schools. And then after that, when you're an adult, you can decide not to be of the faith that he is, of the brand of Christianity that he is. And that's where we're at today in Oklahoma, with the violence, with the vitriol, with the being good, with transgender or non-binary 16-year-olds dying because they scare people like Senator Tom Woods and David Harden. Well, this is Across the Desk, and we're going to see you next week.